The blade whistled through the air, missing the demon's neck by mere inches. Kenji rolled backward as claws raked the space where his head had been seconds before, the stench of sulfur burning his nostrils. 3 years of training, countless sleepless nights perfecting his breathing technique, and still he wasn't fast enough. The crimson moon above cast everything in an eerie light, making the creature's yellow eyes glow like twin suns in the darkness. This wasn't how tonight was supposed to go. Kenji had been tracking this particular demon for weeks through the mountain villages, following a trail of disappearances that led deeper into the forbidden forest. The locals whispered about children vanishing in the night, about strange howls echoing from the tree line, about shadows that moved wrong in the moonlight. Standard demon activity, or so he'd thought. But as he crouched behind a fallen log, watching the creature circle him with predatory patience, Kenji realized he'd made a critical error. This wasn't just any demon. The markings on its forehead, the way it moved with calculated intelligence rather than bestial rage, the fact that it had been speaking to him in perfect Japanese before the fight began. Everything pointed to something far more dangerous than he'd anticipated. A lower moon demon. His grandfather's voice echoed in his memory. Never face a ranked demon alone, boy. Pride kills more slayers than any monster ever could. The old man had been right about a lot of things, but he'd never told Kenji what to do when running wasn't an option, when innocent lives hung in the balance, when the nearest backup was 3 days away and people were dying tonight. The demon's laughter cut through his thoughts like a rusty blade. You're thinking too hard, little slayer. I can smell the fear seeping from your pores. It tilted its head at an unnatural angle, studying him. Tell me, how many of my kind have you killed? 5? 10? Do you even know their names? Kenji gripped his sword tighter, feeling the familiar weight of the Nichiren blade in his hands. The metal hummed with potential energy, waiting for him to channel his breathing technique through it. But something in the demon's tone made him pause. Names? Demons didn't have names. They were monsters, pure and simple. Creatures that had abandoned their humanity for power and bloodlust. Names? He found himself asking before he could stop the words. Ah, there it is, that flicker of doubt. The demon's smile widened, revealing rows of needle-sharp teeth. You've never wondered, have you? About who we were before, about the families we left behind, about the dreams that died with our human hearts. This was wrong. Demons were supposed to attack mindlessly, driven by hunger and hatred. They weren't supposed to philosophize. They weren't supposed to make him think about the weight of every life he'd taken in service to the core. Kenji shook his head, forcing himself to focus. Classic demon tactic. Psychological warfare designed to weaken his resolve. He'd read about it in the training manuals, but experiencing it firsthand was different. The doubt felt real, settling in his chest like a cold stone. My name was Akira, the demon continued, beginning to pace in a slow circle around Kenji's hiding spot. I was a doctor in the village below. I had a wife, 2 daughters. The plague came one winter and I couldn't save them, couldn't save anyone. Its voice took on a wistful quality that made Kenji's skin crawl. When he offered me the power to never lose anyone again, to never feel that helplessness, well, you understand the temptation, don't you? He? The question slipped out before Kenji could catch it. The demon's eyes flashed with something that might have been fear. I've said too much already. But you're different from the others. Younger. Still unsure of your path. It stopped pacing, fixing Kenji with an intense stare. The blood moon rises only once every century. Tonight, the barriers between worlds grow thin. Tonight, transformations that were once impossible become achievable. Kenji felt ice in his veins. Blood moon. The old texts mentioned it, but always in fragments, incomplete warnings that the core had never fully understood. Something about increased demon activity, about rituals that could only be performed under its light. But the specifics had been lost to time, buried with the slayers who'd witnessed the last blood moon 100 years ago. What are you talking about? He demanded, rising from behind the log, despite every instinct screaming at him to stay hidden. The ritual, of course. The reason I've been gathering the children. The demon's smile returned, wider and more terrible than before. Their innocence, their life force. It's the key to opening the door. To bringing him back. Him. There was that word again. Kenji's mind raced through his training, through every lesson about demon hierarchy and the dark history of their kind. There had been others before, demons of unimaginable power who'd been defeated by legendary slayers. But the texts always spoke in vague terms, as if the writers were afraid that even recording the names might somehow summon them back. "You're insane," Kenji said, but his voice lacked conviction. The demon's certainty, the way it spoke of things beyond his understanding, made doubt creep in like poison. "Am I?" Look around you, Slayer. Feel the air itself trembling with power. The blood moon hasn't risen in 100 years, but its influence grows stronger each night. The balance is shifting. The old rules are breaking down. The demon spread its arms wide, as if embracing the crimson light filtering down through the trees. And you have a choice to make. I don't make deals with monsters. Not a deal, a revelation. The demon's voice dropped to a whisper that somehow carried clearly across the distance between them. Your grandfather didn't die fighting demons, did he? Not the way they told you. Kenji's blood turned to ice. His grandfather had died when he was 12, killed in what the Corps had described as a routine mission gone wrong. A sudden ambush, they'd said. No survivors to tell the tale. It was the tragedy that had driven Kenji to join the Corps in the first place, the need for vengeance that had sustained him through years of brutal training. You're lying. Your grandfather was investigating the blood moon ritual, getting too close to the truth. So they silenced him. The demon began walking toward him, each step deliberate and measured. Not demons, little slayer. Men. The very organization you've devoted your life to serving. The world seemed to tilt around Kenji. Everything he'd believed, everything he'd fought for, suddenly felt uncertain. But that was exactly what the demon wanted, wasn't it? To shake his faith, to make him vulnerable. He forced himself to take a breath, to center his thoughts the way he'd been taught. Even if that were true, he said, raising his sword, it doesn't change what you are, what you've done to innocent people. Innocent? The demon laughed, a sound like breaking glass. The children I took were already dying, consumed by the same plague that claimed my family a century ago. I gave them purpose in death, transformed their suffering into something meaningful. Their sacrifice will reshape the world. By bringing back some ancient evil? By bringing back the first demon. The one who chose transformation over extinction. The one who understood that evolution requires sacrifice. The demon was close now, close enough that Kenji could see his own reflection in its eyes. Muzan Kibutsuji is not evil, boy. He is inevitable. The name hit Kenji like a physical blow. Every slayer knew that name, whispered it in fearful reverence around campfires and in the quiet moments before sleep. The Demon King, the progenitor of all demons, the monster that legends said had been destroyed centuries ago by a slayer whose name had been lost to time. He's dead, Kenji said, but even he could hear the doubt in his own voice. Death is just another transformation. And tonight, under the blood moon's light, all transformations are possible. The demon smiled one final time. Including yours. It lunged forward with inhuman speed, claws extended. But Kenji was ready now, his moment of doubt crystallizing into absolute certainty. Whatever truths the demon might have spoken, whatever lies the Corps might have told him, one thing remained constant. Innocent people were dying, and he was the only one who could stop it. His blade met the demon's claws in a shower of sparks, the clash echoing through the silent forest like thunder. The blood moon watched from above, casting its crimson judgment on the battle below, as if waiting to see which transformation would prove stronger in the end.